let's call this meeting to order on July 10th at 2 p.m. And here we are. And we have one item on the agenda, and that is the locker room expansion project.
Okay, does everybody have the board memo?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. And I handed out some handouts, and what you have is some photos of the existing locker room. And I know Director Hernandez got a tour.
Yep.
I don't believe Director Elithart has seen it, but this is just a, yeah, just to jog everyone's memory. So what you're looking at is the exterior backside of the locker room, concrete tilt-up design. This is kind of where the expansion is envisioned going. Full length of the building, about 43 feet wide from the corner to that covered opening, coming out about 18 feet, getting about just under 800 square feet is what the goal was. So just a side view of what that expansion was looking like, coming out into this planter area about 18 feet. And then the next photo, just showing that covered hallway. You can see the entrance on the right kind of leads you down that hallway with the men's on the left, women's on the right. This is also where the sewer connection would be for the expansion.
We should have had this meeting in the locker room.
No, definitely not. Next photo just showing that existing tile. I think Director Hernandez was commenting.
This is the men's locker room.
That's the existing men's locker room. Next photo showing the sink and counter and 2 showers. The expansion is going to replicate that, mirror that on the other side.
Right on the other side of the wall.
On the side of the wall. And then the last photo, the kind of the critical one, is showing that existing locker space now, which, and Ed's not here, but they have an ops staff is around 30, 40?
40
like
something, yeah.
Okay, and you can clearly see that that space is
Little
maybe fits 5 or 6.
48, isn't it?
48.
Standard size.
40, 46 or 48, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the reason I was just showing those photos just so you can jog your memory, understand what the expansion is, and just so you understand, probably over a year ago when this project was envisioned, we really had 3 goals, and the first being to expand the space, create a space that was large enough to accommodate the operations staff current size and then future size. The second goal was to try to create a space that architecturally matched the existing facilities there, tile, the same plumbing, concrete tilt-up. And then the third goal is really to have products that had longevity, really could lower maintenance costs. So last August, the board awarded a design contract to Jeff Katz. Spent about 8 months going through the design process with them. About in the May timeframe area, the board was kind of aware of the costs, concerned about the costs, rightly so. We looked at that, and in May, the direction from the board was to take the project out to bid, as is, get an idea what those real costs would be, and then sort of evaluate the project. So we did that. We had about a 4.5 week advertising period. In June, we got a single bid of $613,000, so significantly higher than our architecture's estimate. So that sort of triggered some discussion with staff. Okay, the board was kind of looking at going back to the drawing board. Let's do that. Let's see where we can make some changes. Now, understanding that one bid doesn't really give us a good analysis of where the real prices are, right? You know, when you get a bid, there's the low bid, there's a high bid, and there's everybody in between. So we got a single bid. Where's that guy? Is he the low bid? Is he the high bid? Is he somewhere in between? Don't really know. But talking with staff, talking with the architect, and talking with that contractor, definitely there's some significant costs in the flooring systems and the exterior wall systems. That's where the big
Which is
costs
what you brought
were.
up with the exterior wall.
And I think I think there's a good understanding that the concrete tilt-up method probably scared some contractors away, or certainly didn't invite some of those smaller, more competitive bidders to this project. So what we did is,
Well, and let me add one more thing. As you may recall from the last engineering committee meeting that we had with this, is let's bid this sucker out, see where the prices really come in, do an analysis, and move forward from there. well, would only, and as Jason was mentioning, would only one bid, it really didn't give us anything to analyze. So,
Yeah, we kind of saw where some high, where the high priced items were, so we can kind of look at that and target that and say, okay, how do we get these prices down? So what I did is I've got a bullet list of some items, and I've got these kind of sheets that kind of go with it, and I'll kind of just flip through these, give you a little visual. And what we were trying to do is still thinking of the original goals, getting that space, getting enough space for the men to work and change in, but making some compromises in the architectural treatments. Where can we find and target those higher price items? What's really a necessity? So what we looked at is looking at getting rid of the tile, which is above the lockers. And if you look at that image, I kind of highlighted that.
Yep.
Now that sticks with the architectural style of the locker room, but at the end of the day, is it critical to the function of the locker room? Probably not. Let's trim that off.
and there's not gonna be any damage, it's above the lockers, and there'll be
Yep.
scuffing or something from boots or stuff thrown up there from time to time, but that's about it.
Yeah. So flipping to the next page, going down on the list, another thing we can do is target some of the concrete along the outside of the building. Do we need a sidewalk space alongside the building? Probably not. That's some small savings we can do. Also kind of re-looking at the where we create concrete joints, probably reducing some of the concretes that's removed and replaced can save some money as well. Flipping to the next page, looking at the floor plan, targeting some of the larger items, looking at the existing men's locker room, that tile, which I know Director Hernandez commented on was looking so nice. Okay, let's not remove that and epoxy coat that. Let's just leave that as is. Let's just take that out of the scope. And then as we look at the new expanded space, instead of trying to tile that or put a very robust epoxy system on that, let's just leave that bare concrete. We'll seal it. It's going to be safe. It'll be functional. It'll do the job necessary.
And we can always come back in several years as the old floor starts deteriorating with a tenant improvement in the future.
Right.
Yeah. Next page of the larger sheets, let's look at reducing the height of the expansion.
What is the existing height?
It's,
I wanna
it's
say
just shown on
19.
there,
Yeah, it's 19
yeah. You gotta add
to
it-
the,
those
and
numbers.
that's the parapet height.
Right.
And then the roof is maybe 2
30
feet
inches
lower
lower,
than something
yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So,
varies.
you know,
but-
so that gets to 14, yep.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna lower it like 5 feet.
So if we lower that cost, significant savings there.
Yep.
And then flipping to the next sheet kind of culminates with everything else sort of on our list. Looking at that exterior wall system, instead of going with concrete tilt-up, let's look at, and I put down metal stud and plaster. We could go with something more robust like masonry block, but we're not trying to create a bunker here.
Yep.
I've been told that we can do some trowel work on the outside and make that exterior look as close as possible to. I mean, we'll never make it exact.
And actually, you may know better than us. We've been told with the metal studs and plaster that the trowel will be easier to make it look like concrete than with masonry, because the masonry lines will always come through.
Yep, absolutely.
And then what we were thinking is, since this wall has got all metal lockers anyway, it's pretty protected by the metal lockers
Yeah,
on
it's
the
a metal
inside,
wall,
and the
yeah.
outside's just going to be a heavy heavy trowel finish.
Yeah. So that I think will have significant savings overall on the project. Looking at the existing men's sink and counter area, we were going to try to replace that to match the new one. Let's just leave that as is, because it is in good condition. Some items that we were going to roll into this project, we're going to refurbish and remove a door that was in there. We were going to add a fire extinguisher. Let's just take those out of this contract and have staff do that. Speaking of the lockers, we can pre-purchase those ourselves.
Perfect.
Kind of take off some of that markup and then have a contractor install that. We were also originally looking at overseeing the HVAC and the fire protection system with some vendors that we exclusively work at. If we roll those two tasks into this project, probably going to get a more competitive bidding pricing on that. so that should reduce some of those costs.
It's also going to be a smaller HVAC unit because now we're just putting the HVAC for the 800 square foot of,
Right,
of locker
right.
space instead of for the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that 3-ton system will come
Yeah,
down
we've seen
in
it.
size.
Oh, yeah.
So all said and done, all those changes that we've looked at, and I'm being conservative, so hopefully we get a better savings, but conservatively knocking off somewhere in the range of $100,000. Talking to Jeff Katz, we will have some additional design fees, an amendment to their contract, somewhere in the order of, $8,000 to $10,000, hopefully less. I think that if we bulk all these in together, we'll get some sort of a volume discount and get some of these things done. Certainly not throwing out the whole project, just sort of tweaking this to these changes. So, and additional, and I don't know if you remember on this, but this project we had additive bid items. So we were looking at some additive tasks, upgrading the women's locker room, their flooring, their sinks, their
The
counters,
lights.
their lights. Looking at those items and basically saying, no, we're just not going to do any of that. That takes all of that off the table. So that was our estimate was about $55,000. That all goes away. So all that, if you look at the fiscal impact, just summarizing kind of what we've spent to date, new budget is $810,000. It was $575,000. We upped it to $810,000. But we've spent about $135,000 to date. About $53,000 at Jeff Katz. That's pretty much the full design. They have additional money on their contract, but that's all for the CM phase of the project. So our current budget, $810,000. If we were to get a price, if we left the design alone, and if we were to have gotten a price of where we thought, we would have been in budget $810,000. However, we didn't. We got a price that was significantly higher. So if we were to go with this contractor, we'd be almost $200,000 over budget at the beginning. So I don't think anybody wants to do that. So last page of the memo, what we're proposing is to keep the budget, well, I guess our budget's $810,000, but if we make these changes, we reduce those costs. Hopefully we get a price below $400,000. We'll have a budget surplus.
At $120,000.
Yeah.
So we're looking at our architect's estimate of about $380,000 for this new with these changes, taking all the extras out, and essentially, as Jason mentioned, just to kind of summarize it up, all we're going to do is the locker room. We're not going to touch anything of the existing lockers, the women's lockers, the lights, the HVAC. We're just going to do what we need to do for this locker room. We're going to take up the tilt up, and Jason's exactly right. The tilt up, that small amount of tilt up, is not worth it for any real tilt up guy. And some of the other guys who don't do tilt up, they couldn't get a tilt up guy to do it, or they couldn't do the tilt up. So
It's too
Right.
small.
too small.
Really too small.
Really, that it surprises me because, and I hope Katz brought this up. I've been in this game 45 years. 10,000 square feet. If you don't have 10,000 square feet of tilt up,
Yeah.
you just don't do it.
Well,
I mean, you may go, then you reduce down to block and then
Yeah.
somewhere else.
to
And
be
I do
fair,
understand what we heard before, that was the direction,
Yeah,
so,
it was.
And Katz
And-
did bring up, to be fair
Yeah.
to Katz,
Yeah,
they
they-
said that this is
brought
really
up-
too small for a tilt up.
right, I mean, because your budget, the other budget
Mm-hmm.
had $30,000 worth of pour slab creation and reduction.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I talked to two of my tilt up concrete guys as well, and, they said, well, you could save some money because we got a project down the street, and you could do it over there, because they need a pour slab at my project.
Yeah.
I said, fine, but it doesn't make sense. But this is great information. Now let me throw a bomb in the baby carriage,
Sure.
because that's what I do.
Should have the sound effects for you.
Yeah. And here's one more. So I took it upon myself, if this was going to be my project, what would I recommend to the owner? And so I did a preliminary design, and then I cut and paste the existing, and I got this as close to 1/4 inch scale as I could based on the printing that I was able to do. I would have suggested to the owner, listen, you have enough room in the women's locker area to expand the men's locker room into there, put in the 2 showers and the sink, and you will get the 70 locker, well, 70 is what I remember hearing, but you said 48, but
No, there's 48 existing people.
Yeah, 78 is right. We were-
78, okay. You can get the 78 lockers in this area, and you can get the 2 new showers and the sink, and leave everything else on the existing men's room virtually alone. And then you build a small, because again, what I heard at our walkthrough, although we have a number of women employees, there's only one woman that uses the darn thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many women employees we have that in the field that use these, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 lockers there.
But in 20 years, we could have 40 women or 20 women.
In 20 years, we'll come back and expand this, and we'll have more.
We actually looked at this also as an option.
Yep.
And it was vehemently shot down by Ed in operations. Ed said he wished he could be here.
Well, I wish, yeah, because I'd
Yeah,
like to
'cause
talk to
he-
Ed,
yeah.
because what was his vehement opposition to this?
He said one of the women he knows would sue
Would sue what?
the district.
If we had a new locker for them?
I'm quoting him. They probably wouldn't sue.
Well, no,
to be
but I mean,
honest.
there would have to be,
probably wouldn't sue.
well, there'd have to be a
Yeah.
reason, and, you
Yeah.
know, maybe there should be 2 showers there. Okay, expand this thing another 4
yeah,
feet.
no, I get it.
But I went through the code, that's enough toilets for women,
Yep.
for the number of women we have, and that's enough toilets for the men, for the number of men we have.
All I can say is when we talked to Ed, he shot it down, so we never went down this road.
Well, I have to hear from Ed what his objections were, because there's enough room. I mean, it's not that there's not enough room.
I'm not arguing.
I'm trying to see why somebody would adamantly not want that process. A, there's not enough room. B, the room looks like trash. Yada yada yada. And I don't think, having viewed it personally, any of those make sense. And after doing the design, there's enough room to accomplish what wants to happen. And
where would the women's locker?
You to orientate yourself.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
here's the hallway
Yeah,
coming in.
coming in.
yeah,
So the existing men's lot, you're taking over the women's over here.
Got it.
yeah,
The expansion is now with a separate entrance.
Is
Right.
a women's locker?
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
So then
So you're building a women's locker.
You're building
I'm
a
building a
women's
women's shower room right there off the edge, and
Okay.
so
Yeah, that's
The-
different
the-
than just taking over the women's and giving them.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the other opportunity, if
I see that.
it is strictly a desire and a and one of the one of
Oh, I
the
see it.
goals that you're going for is the aesthetics, rather than use tilt-up concrete, you can buy, and I've used them, precast tilt-up concrete panels from a company, something Pacific up north. And they bring in these panels on a truck, and they just lift them in the air. As a matter of fact, the Hollandia Dairy building, the new one, precast concrete panels, and with the reduction in height, you could do that.
Well, I think the tilt-ups are. I mean, from the existing staff, I'm talking ops staff.
Right.
They don't care about the tilt.
Yeah.
What Ed told us was his priority is just getting the space for his guys.
Exactly, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to
Yeah.
slow this down just to anger people or not, or to diminish the space requirement.
No,
but
I misunderstood.
Okay,
I
okay.
thought you were getting rid of the women's locker room completely.
oh yeah, no,
but
no,
I see you're building
yeah.
a new women's locker room. Now,
Exactly.
my question is, since because you're an architect and you know more about this than we do here in engineering, because we don't do this. Building this 28 foot by 16 foot compared to the men's locker room expansion, which was 18 foot by 28 foot. The size, well, is there a significant cost difference, or it's not going to be? It's going to be.
But now you've got significant tenant improvement work too on top of that.
So, as part of my
Perfect segue.
perfect segue.
I let you in.
As part of the pitch that I would make to my client, I would say, okay, here's my construction cost estimate. With
So it's about $100,000.
it's 278,
Yep.
and that includes the architecture modification, and that includes the tilt-up concrete. If you take the tilt-up, the precast panels, if you take that out, which is line item number, where the heck is it?
35.
Concrete,
No.
which one?
35?
No, there, it's another 16.2 plus 20%, so it's another $20,000 less, so it's 258.
But you have to add the other type.
No, I've already got the wall in there. I've already got the metal wall in there.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I did.
tilt
I
up
did the
and
same
slide.
as what was presented before.
Okay.
Tilt-up concrete with a metal stud wall inside, and then everything inside of that.
Got it.
So, so I believe that we can get this whole thing done. And again, I did this from my cut and paste sketch. Even if we have a contract that we send out an RFP for a design build with have Katz do a preliminary plan like this so that he can verify everything. We could send out a design build RFP, and we would get more contractors, because if we eliminate the tilt-up concrete panel, this is standard construction
No,
for anybody.
and I think we're eliminating the tilt up is not a big deal.
Okay, well, no, but I'm just saying, if we eliminated it, we would have this a standard general contract. More, I have two people that are telling me they're ready to bid it right now in the design build arena,
So-
and that way everybody, all that's taken care of. They come in and then they present a new budget that's going to save us hundreds of thousands. Of
about
dollars.
100,000 from what this is.
Well, 270 versus 4 something?
No, 380.
Well, yeah, but 380 plus what the rest of it is.
The rest of it's already spent.
This 380 is here?
Yeah. So what's left is 380. So what you see highlighted?
I don't have a highlight.
No, bold. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the bold?
That's what's left. That's
Oh.
that's what we're talking about. Everything else is just staff time.
Right, but
Yes.
I thought I understood that the discussion, the redesign discussions that you had come up with were in the 400, where's the page before?
No, it's the
Oh.
last page. So what we're
Oh,
looking
so
at,
you're-
based on the recommendation that
Yeah.
Jason's put forward, you're looking at 380,000 is the architect's estimate.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at.
Well, what's all this?
It's already gone. That's spent money.
So we've already spent.
Yeah, so let's go over this.
Yeah, let's go over that
items.
because.
So what you look at is we have specialty inspections during construction to make sure we meet all the building permit requirements. Okay, that's because we don't have inspectors that do that here.
Right, no, but don't you just hire the building inspectors?
No, we're self-permitting.
You are.
Yeah, Vallecitos is
Yeah,
self-permitting.
we don't go to the city.
Yep.
We're still holding ourselves to that standard.
Right.
But
Okay.
Jeff Katz and Associates, that's his contract, total contract amount, 60.
Oh, and we've already spent that money.
53 of it.
53
The
of
rest
it.
we would
Okay.
spend during
Yeah.
construction.
53 spent.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Okay, well,
construction
there's-
management on top of
There's,
it.
well, yes, okay, we can talk about that too.
Okay,
All right.
so
and
no
then-
matter what, to whether it's this plan or just do a minor modification to his plan, there'd be an amendment with Jeff.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
but,
So we're
Something.
estimating that at $10,000. That's our estimate.
okay, I understand what you're saying. Right now, I'm just listening,
Staff time, we've already spent $53,000 in staff time,
right?
54 almost, and the overhead is just that two factor that you guys already know, which is our overhead. That's what we charge ourselves. So we bill if a staff member makes $20 an hour, you pay him $20 an hour,
And
and then $40 an hour is the overhead.
So it's 60 altogether,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 60 altogether. So that's staff overhead.
okay?
So really the remaining, so this is already really at the end of the day, this is already under contract. This is already under contract. This 10,000 is not under contract, and
Mhm.
this 380 is under the contract. This change order 10%, that's just per ordinance. We just put that as a placeholder
Right.
per ordinance. It's not.
And you've already spent the 58,
the 50,
staff.
53.
Well,
excuse me, 50.
That's the estimate to get there. Yeah,
we spent 28 of that.
we spend 28
To
of
the
that. So if
design.
you back
That's what
up,
Okay.
we're projecting to spend
All right.
if you
through construction to manage the project.
Jim, if you back up to here, this is spent to date.
Okay.
The first one spent to date. This is if we didn't change a thing,
Yeah.
what it would be, and this is with the changes. So that's your 3 tables.
Yeah.
So what you're
Okay.
proposing though is to go basically cancel Jeff Katz, put out a whole new RFP for a design
Yep.
build.
For
hire a
well,
contractor who's
with the,
gonna hire
with the
an
balance
architect.
of Jeff's money, you could have him do a preliminary, what they call
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
executive architect's plan, so that when you send out the RFP, everybody knows what they're looking to get to.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have a discussion. But one of the problems with, and I learned this with, when I was the manager at San Marcos Unified School District, and Lasardi was the design build contractor. And it was, okay, what about the ceiling? And we go, well, we want this. And they went, well, yeah, but you didn't tell us that. So we bid that. And it was, way weak. But with this kind of a document, at least they have a direction with which to go.
You need a very well defined scope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They call it an executive document.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then without, and believe me, unlike some of our board members, I am very sensitive. Yeah, that guy, he's really SOB. That guy is. I'm really sensitive to the staff, and I'm not stepping on toes, but you heard at our last meeting, the staff time, and then because we have to charge the overtime, is
Overhead, yeah.
overhead, is really taking our breath away. Whereas if we do have a design build plan, I think the amount of additional staff time should be minimal.
It goes up actually with design build. I've done 4 design build projects. It increased it. Now you save on engineers' time, absolutely, and you can actually save on construction dollars if it's done right. But to do it right, staff time goes up.
So
But now this is traditional.
No,
We
no,
did-
no, I understand.
and
So
for
what is
we
your,
do,
what is
so-
your estimate, if you have a 4-month project and you meet every 2 weeks, what is your estimate hours for staff time to get ready and do minutes?
Well, I only have. We did Twin Oaks, the 40 million gallon tank.
But that was
that
monster big.
That was monster big, right? We did that, and we probably spent 40% more staff time on that, but we saved on the construction since it was a huge 40 million gallon tank. We saved millions on the construction, so 40% more staff time was well justified. When I was a consultant, we did design build for the wastewater treatment plant in the Wild Animal Park.
Yep.
Or San Diego Zoo Safari Park, but back when they still called it the Wild Animal Park. And the staff time there from the Wild Animal Park, they told us was 200% higher, but that's because they're not used to doing public works jobs or a job like a public works facility.
What do we charge on our overhead?
It's about 2.
2 times?
It's about 2, yeah.
Times 2.
So still cheaper than consultants.
Yeah, I would.
At $40 an hour, is that a fair price or is that not the right price?
Probably average for who's going to be on this would probably be around 35.
Okay, I got 40.
Are you talking
37.
about inspectors?
Five-
or-
yeah,
No, I'm
five-
talking about.
Don't about your time. You're expensive.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, but the technicians and the inspectors
Okay.
kind of bring the average
Well,
down.
not the
but-
inspectors, but the technicians. At 4 months, we got 17 weeks.
Yeah.
We got a meeting every 2 weeks, so that gives us 18. That's 9 meetings. So we got 9 meetings at 3 hours a meeting. Times $40 an hour times 2 is $2,160.
Yeah, now
That's-
submittals, designs.
That's about what our number
review.
is.
Yeah.
We've spent 28. If you add 21 to that, are we somewhere in the $50,000 range?
I said 2,100, not 21,000.
Oh, I think you said 21.
Yeah, no, 2,100. So
Oh, before.
if I doubled that, you spend 6 hours every 2 weeks, and the submittals on this are going to be minuscule. I mean, really, what are you gonna get? You're gonna get what you asked for, and just verify that the materials that you've asked for are the materials you're gonna get, and you check them off. And the contractor is supposed to do that first review, so yours is reviewing the review. So my contention would be, if you, a third of that, half, 20% of that would be all that the staff time should be allocated to this project.
So what we end up usually doing is usually at the end of the day, it's for a smaller project, it's between 15 and 20% of the construction cost ends up being staff time. Is what it
I'm running the wrong business.
No,
I'll do
yeah,
it. I'll do it
yeah.
for nada. But I'm.
No, I'm just saying that's
I'm-
we don't do
when
these.
you-
I'm
when-
just going off of normal
Yes.
pipelines, reservoirs.
Right.
When we do a pump station, for example, the design cost for a pump station is somewhere between 12 and 18%
Pretty close.
of the actual construction cost.
Pretty
But
close.
the construction management of that pump station might be 10 to 12% just for the consultant
construction
portion.
cost.
Okay, and now if we did it, and then it minimizes our staff time to get the consultant.
Yeah, right.
But we still have staff time. Because, and on a design build, usually what ends up happening is, even if it's a design build, you're reviewing submittals, design submittals, checking them off. We're not talking about just, these are the fixtures that we want, submittals, these are light fixtures. We're talking, this is the layout, this is the system, this is the specs that our contractors are going to build, and we're putting that in, approving it, and then building it. So you have to spend extra time on design build, because you only get 1 or 2 chances, unlike a traditional design bid build where you have your 30, 60, 90, 100%, and then you put out the spec. You have lots of opportunity, and then even when you put out the spec and the bid, you have contractors coming back and saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. Why did you do this? Would you consider this alternative? Then you have amendments. So you have lots of opportunities to fix things that you may not like, that you didn't know better, that the contractor community actually knows more than us. So,
Honestly, I've been involved in half a dozen or a dozen design bid projects, and we had to do the same 25, 30, 90% submittals
Yep.
in order to get approved,
absolutely.
and which, rightfully so, the client had to review those to make sure we're all on the same page. And in my contracts, we will review a submittal, but it has to meet the same criteria as the product that has been specified.
Yeah.
And
All I'm saying is I agree with you with the hours for
Yeah, yeah.
meetings, but when you start looking at reviewing 30%, I'm actually, let me back up. I actually like this concept.
Mhm.
I think we could still save money on this concept.
mm-hmm,
Absolutely, 100%. All I'm getting at is we're gonna save $100,000 on the concept, and I think some of that $100,000 will get chewed up by staff time, but we'll still probably save close to $100,000 compared to just cutting up what CATS has
yeah,
and using it. It's simpler to cut up what CATS has is to use it from a timing standpoint to get it out, because this is kind of going back to the drawing board.
yeah.
But I believe that with this, it meets what Ed needs.
Well, if we
and
can,
would still probably save
Exactly.
money. But
if we can save 100 off the 380, and get the rest of it, we'll
About the
manage
same.
that correctly. But I want to meet with Ed.
I think it's gonna be fine with this. I misunderstood. I thought
Okay.
you meant just get
All
rid
right.
of the women's side, because I was trying to orientate myself.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I
'cause
apologize.
I want maintenance and
You
operation.
misrepresented Ed there.
I want maintenance.
Well, Ed told me that if they want to get rid of the women's locker, I'm adamantly against it, is what he told me before this meeting. And all I heard was you're going to repurpose the women's locker. I didn't realize you were
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get
no.
rid of it. So,
No, but I want to make sure that Ed and
Yeah.
operations and maintenance is on board with the direction of what I'm suggesting.
I don't think they'll have an issue with this,
No.
Okay.
to be honest.
All right.
The way I look at this, though, is instead of being 28 feet by 18 feet, or sorry, instead of being 40 feet by 18 feet, right?
Yeah.
It ends up being a smaller addition, which costs less. So
Sure.
in this case, you're, and then there's rehab here a little bit, but mainly for
Trade
locker rooms,
off.
taking
Yeah.
taking out the stalls and putting
Mhm,
locker room
mhm.
in.
Yeah.
So
And I've
even-
got $5,000 in here in demolition and repair and all that.
So basically, I think there's $100,000 savings
Yeah.
with your proposal. It just take more time.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I'm not throwing this bomb in the baby carriage to spend more time on this. I'm honestly shocked. I just can't believe it's been 8 months that it has taken.
Well, we weren't working on it constantly.
Well,
so,
not you, but
Yeah.
cats.
so.
So, you know,
Well, we pretty much got a submittal every month. And it would take us time to review it, obviously a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks to review it and do our internal discussions, get it back to them to, you know, get it back. And
One of the things that tenant improvement adds that we're just, and to be fair,
Yeah.
we're just not geared for, is when we go out and do a job, let's say a new pump station. Okay, we know we're checking with the mechanical electric group, we're checking with the water ops group, and it's engineering, we're meeting our plans and specs, and we're very, very much astute to that. This is what we do for a living.
yeah.
When you do a tenant improvement on a bathroom, we kind of get in, we look at the plans and spec and make sure it checks the boxes. Then we go to all the different groups in operations, and they took a look at it and they go, well, what about this? What about that? And it takes a little longer. That process
Yeah.
ends up taking a little longer because there's more people who will kind of get in. And every tenant improvement that I've ever worked on, that seems to be the case because people get really involved in what that locker is going to look
a lot
like.
of stakeholders.
Lot of
Yeah. Well,
stakeholders.
do you have a design team?
Yes,
Yes.
How many is on the team?
4.
4. Well, that's the right number. That should,
Purchasing supervisor, myself, Ed, and then we just have a technician that helps
Yep.
us.
that should be pretty straightforward.
I've got a couple of questions on the existing stuff.
Sure.
It's shown up here too. This seems like a lot of toilets and urinals for how many people? Did you say 48?
I actually thought it was approaching 50, but yeah.
Yeah, it's right
probably.
there.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah,
the
this-
locker room we didn't add any more toilets and
Well,
urinals.
We had the same architect build Rancho's
Yeah.
facility.
This
And
cat-
cats?
Yeah. No,
Oh, no,
original.
this
Oh, this
is-
original
yeah,
architect.
Don
Yeah,
Gillis.
Don
So-
Gillis.
Yeah, Don Gillis. I know Don.
Did
Yeah.
the same thing for 70 people. We had 3 toilets,
Yeah.
a handicap and 2 others, and 3 urinals.
Mm-hmm.
And
You sound bitter.
well,
Well,
it doesn't make sense to me that
Yeah, that's why that's why I didn't add it. I said you don't need no more toilets.
you only need half as many as are here.
Well, those are already there though.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
that's-
know, but you can get a lot of space. You can repurpose this.
But-
space.
I don't think you need to. That's what I'm. And if you do change that, that means you got to demo and put stuff there. I said,
Well, take out 3 toilets, put 3 urinals over here, and you got this whole wall here.
But-
I mean,
but I don't think we need it. And if you do that, then you're going to have to spend money taking them out and putting tile in there. If you just leave the existing, because this is all existing right now, leave that damn thing alone and then
well,
repurpose
and
this.
the other
even
thing
in-
is you're going from half height lockers to
To full.
Yeah.
You know, we had, I don't know, we probably had 100 plus half height lockers. We took out half or 40% of them. We had about 60 people. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see the need for full height lockers. I know that
Well,
probably
that's
Ed
one of the
wants it.
things I really want is a full height locker. That's
And
one of
they-
the things.
and they told us that.
I'm trying to kind of value engineer this thing.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
some
here-
things really pop out at me.
So here's the thing: the original design didn't add any more urinals or toilets. So this design here, we don't add any more urinals or
Well,
toilets.
yeah,
No, that's not
I
true.
would
'Cause
definitely
we
say
already- yeah.
you don't need any
But
more. And I
what's
think you got too
dri-
many as it is.
What's driving the size
Oh yeah.
of the structure is the full size lockers
Right.
because they take up a lot more space. Because one of the things they were adamant about, and as Jim you already know, is they wanted the full size lockers because they're saying
Not only full size, but full size 18-inch lockers.
No, I
I
think
don't
they're
think that.
15.
Oh,
I believe.
okay.
15.
Mine was the one I pulled up on the thing for the $240 each installed.
steel.
Well, yeah, but it's the space is the
Yeah,
issue.
the
It's
space.
Paying for this extra space.
And that's why when I did my design, I used their size, but I kept it within the same footprint,
Yeah.
and I got all the dang lockers they need.
Yeah, I see what you did. You left this basically the same,
Yep.
and then you repurposed the women's bathroom here,
Completely.
and then then what it allowed us to do is just
build a
They're the
new
smaller.
woman's smaller room.
Yeah.
And,
I'm almost to the point where you could rearrange this and not have any addition or very little.
Well, if you get rid of the full size lockers and get rid of some of the urinals and add, I mean, they need more showers.
Right.
You add in, if you add in showers
You
here,
could put 2 showers right here.
if you put 2 sinks and 2 showers here, right? Because that's what they need. You know, they need 2 more sinks
Right.
and
So take out
2 more showers.
Yeah, take out 2 urinals, move the sink down, put 2 showers right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
but,
not an architect.
But at the end of the day, you could solve all that with the showers and the sinks within the existing space, but you're not going to be able to get
yeah, I don't think you're
60 full
I don't
size
think-
lockers
Well,
in.
I just my opinion.
Yeah.
They don't need it.
Just having, you know, having
Half
to
size.
function with a half size. It worked fine for us. I don't. Yeah, they take up a lot of space. These full size ones.
They just
They
grew-
surely do.
They just grew them tougher in Rancho.
Must have.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Well,
It's funny because we had, like I said, the same architect. He did ours and then he did this one after ours. So,
oh yeah, I know, because we've competed against them.
yeah.
But you guys had like an executive
VID
bathroom
too.
with a GM, right?
What's that?
Something
The
like
ID as
that.
well. Later
Yeah,
on. they're
yeah.
gonna do the
So
VID.
Yeah.
what we did is our GM said no executive bathroom, but give the guys more or something. So really, what I'm getting at this is this will take more time.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, as you know, time, it costs more money as far as staff time, but from a construction value, I definitely see this as $100,000 savings. You know, obviously we haven't reviewed your
Yeah.
takeoffs, but just assuming they're apples to apples, because it's smaller. It's just
Yeah, right.
it's smaller.
That's
It's
the
smaller
point.
expansion. I think it's a valid idea. Definitely, it's got merit. But I don't want you to be surprised if some of that gets chewed up because of extra
No.
time.
Well, no, I understand that. I do understand. I mean, I don't understand it, but because I know you got you have a lot of other, everything is,
Yeah.
you know, things pressing on top of top. And so I'm wondering if there isn't a way, much like Greg does with Kenny Jenks, if hiring a consultant to just watch this particular piece might be a more economical way to get that done and not add more workload to you guys.
Well, that's what CATS is, isn't it? I mean, essentially. I mean, we're still reviewing
Contract
it.
They're doing some CM.
They're doing
They're
good
doing
contract
some-
inspections.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, yeah,
and
but
then-
how do we get your
You expect
staff
something.
time and the overhead minimized?
well, Jim, you're
Well, that
talking.
is conservative too. I mean,
Yeah.
we try to be conservative when we put those numbers. So ideally, we'll be less than that. We shoot to be less.
The change order contingency seems high to me.
That's per policy.
Yeah.
It's just a contingency. So jobs
Very
under
rarely.
under $500,000.
Yeah, because I have
It's
my
10%.
I have my contingency within the budget.
So jobs under $500,000 is 10%.
Usually
Jobs
it's
$500,000 to $1 million, 7.5%, and then
Yeah.
it steps down from there.
And
Right.
typically, at the end of the day, we're less than 1% on most jobs.
Yeah, but that's a very
So-
appropriate number. So,
Yeah, I think pat on the back. 1% is excellent.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, it
So-
definitely is. I,
bragging about
I would publish that all day long.
It's just it is what it is.
So you're looking. We've spent $28,000 in staff time today, but the design's done. And
Yeah.
we put
But
out the bid.
you've only spent $28,000
To date.
thus far.
Yeah, this is the estimate to get to the end. Again, it's a conservative estimate. So we're 28 in.
Okay.
Call it we're almost 30 in. We have another 20, 25 to go.
Yeah, which I think is
God dang.
realistic.
This is the 28 is a great number. It's the times 2 that is killing me, and I know.
No, but it's an estimate.
Well, yeah, but no, even if
Yeah.
it's an estimate, no, I'm looking at the first phase. You spent 28,
Oh,
so you
right.
charged 51 plus the 28,
But Jim,
70. That's $80,000.
This
Isn't that right?
no 28 to 53 is the end number.
Yeah, no.
No,
He's
he's
right
he's
now.
he's looking at the
I'm
very
talking
first
about the
one.
now. You spent 28,000,
Yeah,
and then the overhead was 51.
yeah, that's the overhead.
So now we're at $80,000.
Yep. Because overhead's twice basically.
Right,
almost
right,
twice.
right.
Yep.
That's where I'm.
Yep.
having a bit of
So
heartburn.
at the end of the day, you're at $160,000 to $170,000, but you also got to remember it's not. This is not engineering time. This is
Yeah, soft costs.
no,
The
the
overhead.
staff
Overhead?
time. No, I'm not talking about it. This is not engineering time. Your design. This is Leiden's time,
Yeah,
Bum's
that's
time.
okay.
This is everybody. You know that this is
Soft
the
costs
electrician's
is another way.
time
Yeah.
to coordinate when they tie into the
Yeah,
existing
support.
electrical breakers.
Yeah.
Our inspectors.
Yeah, our inspector's time. This is it's going to be all that. This is the CM, right there, to get us from 28 to 53, and the
Well,
overhead.
and that's where I'm
overhead.
saying. That's where I'm saying. So for $160,000-$170,000 for a 4-month project,
Well,
I mean, you already spent $28,60 of that, but for another $100,000
Mhm.
for a 4-month project, I feel very confident you could hire a consultant to do that. Even if you left some CATS type of a person involved in the CM.
Yeah, and
The
there's a
CA.
catch for
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah.
but at the end of the day, when they connect to the electrical system, our guys are the ones that are going to be there helping them out. Right.
Okay.
And they're going to charge time.
Yeah, well, but you're not going to spend 6 hours to help them connect it into your system. So, okay.
They'll be there for a while.
Well,
So-
I mean, what it comes down to, special inspection service, if you have your architect or your designer do that, their overhead's about the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Public
getting
agency.
at. It's there. I mean, I don't know what the architect's overheads are, but the engineer's like 3.2, 3.5.
Yeah, I mean.
Wow.
Geez,
Total billing
Yeah.
rate. Total billing rate.
Yeah, no,
3.2,
we're
3.5.
2.5.
Overhead or total billing rate.
So multiply the hours times 2.5. That's
So
what
$100 an hour is $250.
yeah, and that's your senior guy.
Yeah. So the civils are
You know,
over
they always
3.
make more.
They're over 3.
They were always
Yeah.
jealous about those.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now we're basically at 3 here.
Correct.
as a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
agency.
Well, you know, at Rancho, we were 4 on
Whoa.
non-engineering and 5 on engineering.
Yeah.
5 times, yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So these seem like bargains to me.
Yeah, right. I
It's all
can't.
relative.
I can't tell my colleagues that they're going to leave the profession in a minute, aren't we?
all relative.
I should become a consultant on the outside.
You are a
Well,
consultant on the outside.
Yeah.
What do you mean? We get pro bono.
And look at that, you got this shit for free. We got you.
Jim, you just have
This
to
is
increase.
$2,000 worth of work
You
here.
just have to increase your overhead rate.
If you can absorb that in your
You know that
overhead rate, that's
reimbursement
all.
thing that we're bringing back? Can I get a part of that?
So, but basically, yeah. When we look at the specialty inspection services, I mean that's
Yeah.
including their overhead. It's a staff times an estimate. So in other words, the more we have confidence in our consultant doing the work,
Yeah.
the less staff time we're going to have. But we're still going to have staff time because there's coordination going on.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we got to watch the hen house and make sure.
Yeah,
no
yeah, I
foxes get
appreciate
in,
that. I'm
so-
just, I mean, even the 687 at the bottom, if everything were, and we reduce that by another 100
With your plan,
with in this plan,
yeah.
you know, we're 587. I'm still a bit of a shocked at that whole number.
Well, remember these numbers are conservative.
Right,
So we're,
yes,
we're
I
always
understand
shooting,
that.
We're always shooting for less, but plan for the worst, budget wise.
I mean, because right now we're basically at $135,000 spent to date.
Yeah,
That's where we're at.
right.
And if we have $350,000 to go from here,
Mhm.
you're looking at 480. You round up, call it 500 total.
yeah,
And that's and you could realistically end up with this plan 500. Now, this is going to extend time, and every time my experience is every time you extend time, you can save. I
It's
think
inevitable.
you're going to spend more money. You're going to spend more money on staff. You're on consultants. You're going to spend more money because Jeff Katz is not going to do it for $10,000, and we're going to extend time, but we're going to save money. So the deal is, if you expend this project another 6 months or 4 months before we bid it out, you're going to have another 4 months of consulting and staff time. That might equate up to $30,000. Let's just say.
Yeah, with meetings and stuff and reviews, staff time, we're around 3,000 to 5,000 a month, standard project.
Yep.
That's just.
But then we save 100, so we could legitimately have that $100,000 in construction savings. We may realize somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 savings, and we extend and we push the project back 4 months. That's what when I see this, that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
right.
I see this is a legitimate savings,
Mhm.
and we can save somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000, depending on where the bid's coming.
Okay, so now, play the devil's advocate against me. I would like to suggest we do a recommendation to the board that we send out an RFP for a design build for a modification to like this. Should we involve the engineering committee in the process along the way to watch the numbers and watch the time and watch the direction?
I mean, that's up to you guys.
Well, that's why I want you to be
Well,
devil's
we could
advocate.
regularly meet and get a status update.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
don't
the
want-
best
I
you
don't
can
wanna
do
get
rather
into
than micromanage.
You don't wanna be
Doing
staff.
things for people.
No, but I mean, if we had a monthly
No interest
meeting
in being
during this
staff.
next 3 or 4 months to find out where we're at and get an update.
Yeah,
I
along the
think
way,
I think
that's good,
appropriately
yeah.
is well because we're gonna have submittals.
Right.
We should bring the submittals to the
Mhm.
engineering committee. They may not be exactly on the month, but when the submittals
Yeah.
come in, we should bring the submittals to the engineering committee.
Mm-hmm.
Have the engineering committee and staff review submittals and move forward
Right.
based on because you know
And
if it's,
then we could take a look at where our budget is at each one of those submittals.
yeah we could have a budget update each
Yeah.
submittal.
I mean, does
Yeah.
that feel appropriate?
Yeah, I don't wanna get into micromanaging.
No. I just
The updates, status updates. those are
Yeah,
appropriate.
exactly.
Yeah, and if there's I wouldn't wanna see a resubmittal, but if there's a decision to be made on something and.
well, if they bring it the whole thing to us, we don't need to make
Yeah.
decisions. We just can see what's been accomplished.
Yeah, it might be
And-
just an update.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
fine.
a
Yeah.
deci- yeah, it just
No,
might be an
I think-
update that you piggybacked on something else. Now, so
Can I ask a question?
is it-
Logistically though, how does that work? We get a submittal from the architect and we're bringing it to
I don't
the
think you're bringing
committee
it to
for
us.
review
No.
before
No, we're
we
gonna-
start?
no,
or
you-
we're
you
gonna-
review
do
it,
what
you bring it
do,
to us.
and then for
We'll-
staff.
we'll
Just update us.
Okay.
with what
Yeah,
we've
we'll
done.
have a standing committee meeting date.
Yeah, and you could say
And
what's
if there's
coming up and
something
what has
that
come, yeah.
falls and it needs to be reviewed promptly, I mean, I'm
'cause
available.
as you are aware, on a design build, there's a ticking time on submittal reviews.
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
that's
and-
right.
And if you miss that deadline, then they get to hit you with costs.
And if you,
Hence, more staff time to get it done in time.
well, and not only that,
Yeah,
but if we
usually
have to have a special meeting, I mean, I'm available virtually any time for this, because, and that's the reason I wanted to have it come to the committee, because
Yeah.
I know there's 2 guys on our board member who really don't believe this possible. Not this, but I mean that $800,000 budget. So if we can assure them that we are watching and we've done our job to reduce this down, I don't think we're gonna have, even if it does get to the 500 or whatever the hell the number is, I think they'll choke it down and only bitch and moan a little bit.
Well, yeah, the staff recommendation was just to use the existing of what's already been done and minimize it. This is kind of going back to the drawing board.
It is.
So it will. There's going to be staff effort to get out that RFP because
Yeah.
one of the problems we have is once you send out an RFP, we have a process, and that
Yeah.
process takes time. It's a process to make it fair and make the RFP process more objective, less subjective, which gives Vallecitos, as far as from a engineering consultant reputation, a really good reputation that we have a very objective process that
People want to
the
build on
best consultant
Yeah.
that puts the best proposal will win, not just, hey, I've been working with Kennedy Jenks and one of our board members works for Kennedy Jenks, so therefore I hire Kennedy Jenks.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's a very open process, and that includes the meetings, the formatting, the review, and that takes a lot of time. I don't joke around when I say our RFP costs staff $15,000 in time to send it out. Now, when we use our as needed, it's a lot cheaper. You know, so if I could restructure this with CATS, it's a lot cheaper. If I have to go out for a new RFP, you're talking about 2-3 months and $15,000
For
a
the
time
design.
just for the
Well,
RFP.
then let's pursue that for a bit. So you believe if we amended Katz's contract to revise it to this,
I'll save 2 months
Save staff time. yeah.
on just staff time.
mm-hmm,
I'd say 2 months just on staff time there. Because right now I have to write an RFP.
Yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and then we send
Don't you already have several?
and let's see, let me think what can have to happen here. I mean, that would make sense in that not, and I'm thinking in my head, what would he have to do to change his drawing?
Well, he's got the base of it. He's,
Yeah, right,
he's going to
yeah,
reduce
he's
it,
gonna-
and then
mhm,
he's got to do
mhm.
this.
Yeah, specs are all pretty much
yeah,
the
The
same.
specs are pretty
specs.
much the same.
Yep.
So there'll be a little bit more demo. There'll be a little bit more. I mean, there's.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that does make sense.
It's still maybe within this 10,000.
Yeah,
But instead of a design bid build, because that's a whole different spec,
Yeah,
he may be able to do this, and we'll just bid it.
yeah, yeah. No, I like that idea. I think we could probably save certainly some time,
Definitely.
and if Cats can do this,
Yeah.
this revision,
Yeah, I think you ought to explore with cats.
yeah,
Well,
Redesigning this.
well,
Yeah,
that's
that's what I mean.
I was going there next. So Jim, with your concern, Sergeant Hernandez, if doing it this way, I think that would be the most prudent way to move forward. To do this.
Yes.
As
Because
far as
I think if you go all the way back and shift gears and try to do design build, I think you're going to chip away at that.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
doing. That's
Okay,
what I'm doing.
all right,
It's
all
gonna
right.
nickel
That
and
makes
dime
good
it.
sense. That does make good sense.
Now, to let's talk about Director Eltharp's concerns. If half-size lockers is something we need to revisit, and the number of urinals and toilets something we need to visit to get rid of this, that's a different conversation which we could have.
I don't think it's going to get rid of an addition.
No, I don't, and I think
It's
we're
true.
going to spend more.
Yeah.
I mean, taking a look. I mean, I'm going to let you handle the discussion from the maintenance guys about the full size or half size. When we were there, we didn't believe it, but I've not been in their boots. You have.
Yeah, all I could tell Ed is that, no one ever mutinied on me. So maybe they were about to, and I just retired.
Yeah, you right. Well, how's this? I've been in there at 3:30 before to go talk to one of the supervisors that was in there because I needed some information, and it's.
An ugly scene.
What's a madhouse? No
Yes,
doubt about
yes.
that. It's just, do they
It's
need
just
a
poorly
full size
But-
locker?
But you're absolutely right. The stalls and urinals are almost never full. Like right after lunch during like employee luncheon or something, that's the only time,
Yeah.
according to Ed, that they're ever full.
It's just,
But there's got to be one stall empty between any stall occupied.
And you're another, so there you can only
And that's
use half
true
the
for urinals too. So that's
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so is
This-
it fair to say the direction of the committee is to renegotiate an amendment with Cats to do a smaller women's locker room edition and convert the women's locker room into a men's,
Yes.
basically locker room,
Yes.
women's bathroom into a men's locker room?
Yes.
Is
Okay.
that, to explore, but then to have to come back to either the committee or the board before you don't commit to it, but
Well,
just
I
to-
mean-
No, I think we need to press ahead. I'd like to make the recommendation to have Cats redesign it per the.
and that could come to the.
It
board,
doesn't
yeah.
have to come to the board because the
Yeah, we
amendment's going to be small enough and within
Yeah.
the budget.
yeah.
Alright.
So that's the next question I have is, do you want the amendment, if it's within what we think it is, that $10,000 range, do you want it to come back to the board, or you're okay with just moving forward?
Well-
Since it's less than the.
No, I would. We're going to have a board meeting,
Mhm.
and we can go through our recommendation at the board meeting. And our recommendation is to go ahead,
Okay.
We can agendize
and we
that
can
for the,
get a consensus from the board, or
Well, it's just an informational item. With
Yeah, it's
consensus.
information.
Not
There
a,
you go.
It's
They
not a
don't need to-
vote,
yeah,
or it could be just a report.
yeah, exactly.
But-
Yeah, we don't need to do more than
I
that.
mean, what do you think, Tom? Because there's no action here. Really, it's.
Well, I mean, and you can get a proposal from
That's what I'm
Cats.
told.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't obligate us to.
You know, we're going to get a
That's the
proposal from
important
Cats to move forward with
Right.
this. Is what
Yeah.
we're getting at.
Yeah.
But by policy, we don't have to bring that proposal to the board.
yeah. 'cause
We
it's
can
less
just
than
report to
scope
the
and-
board that we got.
Well, yeah, but since this is kind of direction for the committee, it definitely needs to be reported to the full board.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay.
And we have the standing committee reports now. I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
what's most appropriate to do it in a standing committee report or would you rather have an item to kind of
Informational
make it
item.
more?
I mean, all we would do is
It'll
we
be
get
under
the
action
same
items,
memo.
but for information.
We get the same memo, and we redo this last piece here, and
Mhm.
obviously put in Kat's information as an informational item. And the idea is, before, I don't know if we could do it by the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Do,
Oh, well. That's up to you
We have
guys.
to-
That's
yeah.
up to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
not
Jim
sure. I
Katz,
think
but
you
probably
give me a price
by
then.
the second
Oh, not
meeting.
certainly not a price by then, but at least that what we're.
Well, that's what I
What we're
mean.
contemplating.
No. We could bring it to the board, but ideally, if we had the price too, it'd be
Yeah, I know.
perfect.
To
Well,
make it a more complete staff
Yeah.
report, you know.
Are you concerned that cats can't get a proposal to you within the next time period?
Well, we've got to for our next board meeting. We're
We've only got a
if we
couple
want
days.
to
We've
give
only
it a
a
couple
couple
days
days.
before we
Well,
post it.
how many? When's
We're
our
gonna
next
ask.
board meeting?
We're gonna ask
Week
if we
from
get it.
tomorrow-
Yeah,
week from
19th.
Wednesday.
The
So-
19th, and when do you have to have it
And usually we
posted?
have everything
Wednesday,
reviewed
yeah.
Wednesday the
Wednesday.
12th. Because it gets posted.
This Wednesday.
It gets posted on Thursday.
Tomorrow?
or Friday.
Or a week from tomorrow?
No, tomorrow.
No, tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
No, well, tomorrow.
No,
Tuesday.
tomorrow it needs to
Wednesday.
be into engineering. By tomorrow it needs to be engineering.
Yeah, and then
so
to
that Tom and Glenn could review,
review
it
on
Wednesday.
and then they
So
actually.
I need it tomorrow from Katz.
In order to
Because
have the
the-
package ready by late in the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So-
and not only that, if it's a lot of times when I want it from the consultant earlier because sometimes there's miscommunication and we mark it up.
How about this? You just report out at the standing committee like what would happen, and for the second, we'll. for
We can
August
still do
2nd.
it as a placeholder. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a placeholder.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate put myself in Katz's position. He gets his phone call this afternoon. We
Yeah.
decided to do this, put together a proposal. We need it tomorrow.
He may be able to do it.
Well, I
Yeah,
certainly would be
yeah,
able to, but
yeah. Yeah.
it's interesting. We've competed with him for 40 years.
You
I've never
have?
met the man.
Uh-huh.
Oh really?
Never
I
have.
didn't know
I don't think I have.
that.
But anyway,
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll ask Kat for cost.
Yeah.
And we'll provide that cost if we have, even if we don't have it to post it, if you're just reporting out at standing committees, you could ask me, did you get a cost from Katz? Because
Okay.
by the board meeting,
All
I'll
right.
probably have that cost.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So,
All right, good. All right, so
and then unless there's discussion or something at that point, basically the direction is to move forward with a smaller women's locker room addition. Period. Right. That's
Yep.
T-
that's
TIs to the.
and
and tenant
we-
improvements to the
yeah.
existing locker room to make it a men's locker room.
Retailer to describe this better.
And is the committee good with that? Then just to during your standing report to report out,
yeah.
and then maybe get something more
Yeah,
solid
I'll
on
put
August
together-
2nd.
So no agenda item as a
No, just
committee
a-
report.
No, and then I will
Standing.
ask if the proposal came in.
Yep, and then
Yeah.
I'll be able to say yes or no and tell you how
Alright.
much it is at that point.
Have Ed call me if he.
No, he's gonna be fine. Like I said, I completely
Okay.
misunderstood when
All right.
because when I looked at the drawing, I thought this was the women's and you were converting it to the men's. The women's was gone,
No.
and then it wasn't until you kept on explaining. I kept on looking at it, and that's when I asked Jason to help orientate me there.
Yeah, no, it took me a second.
It took me a
but
second to
it made
figure it
sense.
out.
All right. Okay.
Has the rest of the board gotten all this information?
No,
They
this is
they
good.
get that
Well,
information.
they get the
Yeah.
committee.
They'll when they get the minutes to the.
Okay.
And, but
Constructively,
you know
they'll
what Jim, you know what I really like about this is because the flooring
Yeah.
matches and this, so the men's locker room all
Yes, and they have a
kind
whole
of
different
match.
Yeah.
locker.
I mean, from a aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
So.
No, I it just made pretty fixed sense, and then when I start,
how
cutting and paring.
how many lockers were we able to
you know,
do?
I don't think I do have 70 in the one I wrote, but there's locker room area
No,
here.
that's
that's plenty.
That's for all their uniforms.
Oh,
That's
the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
No,
Yeah,
pickup,
then
yeah.
then they're shorts a couple of lots.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
no,
There's
I think
70.
it's-
I think we had a
it looks-
few extra
Oh,
anyway.
good. All right.
So
Yeah.
you know what? They're just short a couple benches. Is what it ends up being.
Yeah. Well, I added some benches in there, but I don't know if that's enough. But we'll leave
Those
that.
have to take turns.
We'll leave that to the guy that's getting paid.
Mhm.
All right.
But the per diem wasn't enough. This is more work than the per diem.
That's not work. That's fun. I love that stuff.
I had to do something on Sunday, so And I started doing it hand drafting, and I went, this is dumb, why don't I just cut and paste it? So I
Yeah.
cut and pasted it together, and it worked out perfect.
Well, no,
I
I
enjoy that.
I actually like your bomb and the baby fairy.
Good. All right. Away we go. Earned my keep today.
Adjourn.